in Bahasa Indonesia, but luckily we have like other participants now, so I will try to convey my presentation in bilingual, in Bahasa Indonesia and in English, so please bear with me. So okay, I will try to share my screen. Okay. I will share my screen here. Where can I see this? Okay, can everyone see my screen now? Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. That happens all the time. We do rehearsal 10 minutes before, and then
yeah, and it works before,
yeah.
and now
I just tried 5 minutes ago. It works perfectly, and yeah.
Okay, hail to technology then. Okay, just bear with me. Select a window, location I want to share. Yes, I want. Okay, now.
Share screen. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. So it takes some time though. Now okay. Why? Okay. Is it working now? Perfect. Okay, cool. So before I start, I want to introduce myself, a brief introduction. So saya akan memperkenalkan diri secara singkat. Nama saya Tania, saya dokter umum. Saya dari Bali, saya berasal dari Bali, Indonesia. And for the past 3.5 years, I've been residing in Groningen, the Netherlands, to continue my PhD in cognitive neuropsychiatry here in University of Groningen. So, and luckily, I've had a chance to join as volunteering as a science coordinator team in Stichting Alzheimer Indonesia Nederland. So here I am presenting my passion, my studies, and then what I can do for the society. Jadi title dari presentasi hari ini adalah Music, the Aging Brain and How It Connects People During COVID-19 Pandemic. So this is the overview of my talk today. Firstly, I will start with a brief explanation about aging. Then we will see how music can slow down brain aging. And the next part is how music has the potential to make us feel connected to one another and its implication in humanity, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Jadi ini adalah garis besar dari presentasi saya pada hari ini, kurang lebih akan dibagi menjadi 2 bagian, music and the aging brain, dan bagaimana musik menghubungkan kita, khususnya pada saat COVID-19 pandemi ini. Okay, so first, what is aging? Everyone wants to live a long time, but no one wants to be old. So in Indonesia, especially, we have like this phrase, awet muda. So it's like people tend to be amused if they are called awet muda because it means that you look younger than your age. So first we have chronological age. So when asked how old are you, you're likely to answer based on the number of years that have passed by since you were born. Jadi chronological age itu adalah saat atau masa yang sudah berlalu dari sejak kita lahir sampai saat ini. Dan yang kedua adalah biological age atau functional or physiological age. So this takes into account a number of factors. So chronological age, genetics, lifestyle, nutrition, and disease. So while chronological age as a factor, you may not end up having the same biological age as your chronological age. Jadi kalau usia biologis atau biological age itu dipengaruhi oleh berbagai faktor termasuk gaya hidup, lifestyle kita, genetik, nutrition, penyakit, dan termasuk juga chronological age. So biological and chronological age are not the same. So what is aging? So the basic idea behind biological aging is that aging occurs as you gradually accumulate damage to various cells and tissue in your body. Jadi biological aging itu adalah terjadi karena sudah terjadi akumulasi dari kerusakan baik dari tingkat seluler maupun sampai tingkat jaringan sampai tingkat fungsional. Jadi di sini kita bisa melihat bahwa yang dimaksud dengan aging itu adalah biological aging. Bagaimana dengan brain aging? So with the same concept, brain aging is an accumulation of brain damage. We can see brain aging to different approach to some cognitive functions, behavior, structural, and then like gray matter, white matter, and functional and molecular. And then structurally, the weight of the aging brain. So if we see here, kalau kita lihat di sini, otak kurang lebih ini adalah gambaran otak pada saat dewasa, dan ini adalah otak yang menua. Dan secara struktural, otak yang menua itu berkurang secara volume dan berat sekurang lebih 5-10%. Jadi pertanyaan berikutnya, so the next question is brain aging inevitable or is it modifiable? What factors can alter brain aging? Apakah ini bisa dihindari? Unfortunately, brain aging is inevitable. But the good news is it's also modifiable. And then what factors can alter this brain aging? We can see it from the next slide. Jadi di sini kita bisa melihat ada berbagai faktor yang disebut protective factor maupun yang disebut risk factor. Kalau kita melihat di sini dari kita baru lahir sampai usia dewasa, sampai usia tua, di sini ada transisi. Nah, di sini sampai ada patologi, di mana di sini ada demensia. Nah, ini selama hidup kita, di sini ini merupakan hipotesa. Jadi ada education, physical activity, cognitive and social activity can be protective factors for us through the mechanism what we call brain reserve and cognitive reserve. Jadi kalau kita lihat di sini ada berbagai faktor, meskipun penuaan otak atau kerusakan otak tidak dapat kita hindari, tapi kabar baiknya ada beberapa faktor yang dapat menjadi, yang potensial untuk menjadi protective factors. Jadi di sini ada physical activity, ada cognitive, social activity, dan education. Nah di sini di mana musik berada? Nah musik akan berada di sini. Nah kita akan lihat slide berikutnya. So what can we do to slow down brain aging? Apa yang dapat kita lakukan untuk memperlambat penuaan otak? Leisure activities and cognitive lifestyle that might prevent cognitive decline. We can see here from mulai dari bermain musik, membaca buku, main kartu, bahkan olahraga. Ini adalah hal-hal yang mungkin dapat mencegah penurunan kognitif dan memperlambat terjadinya penuaan otak. Before we discuss more about music, I want you to watch this video. Perhaps you already watched this video. So this is the title of this video is Life Inside. It's about Henry and then the project of Music and Memory Project. So it's really nice video. Let me try to. Okay, so this is Henry, 94 years old. So he has been residing in nursing home for about 10 years. So he had seizure before, and then he had dementia also. So he underwent a project called Music and Memory Project, and then it used a personalized music for people with dementia.
Hi, Papa. Hi, Papa.
Huh?
How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm fine. Wait.
Who am I?
I don't. Wait a minute. I don't.
Okay, it's Jerry. How long has he been in the nursing home? Approximately 10 years. He was having seizures, and my mother couldn't handle him at home. Of course, it affected me greatly because he was always, fun-loving, singing, you know, every occasion he would come out with a song, no matter where he was. I remember as a child, he used to walk us down the street, me and my brother, and he would stop and do Singing in the Rain. He would have us jumping and swinging around poles. He was, you know, he was good. He was always into music, you know, always loved singing, dancing.
His name is Henry Dreyer.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking more or less for religious music for him.
Okay.
Because he enjoys music and he always quotes in the Bible. So I'd rather have that for him.
We first see Henry inert, maybe depressed, unresponsive, and almost unalive.
Henry.
Yeah.
Henry.
Yes, y'all.
I found your music. You want your music now?
What do you want me?
Let's try your music, okay? And then you tell me if it's too loud or not.
Then he is given an iPod containing, we know, his favorite music. And immediately he lights up. His face assumes expression. His eyes open wide. He starts to sing and to rock and to move his arms, and he's being animated by the music.
And he used to always sit on the unit with his head like this. He didn't really talk to much people. And then when I introduced the music to him, this is his reaction ever since.
The philosopher Kant once called music the quickening art, and Henry is being quickened. He's being brought to life.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the music for 1 second, okay? Just to ask you a few questions. Okay? I'm going to give it back to you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The effect of this doesn't stop, because when the headphones are taken off, Henry, normally mute and virtually unable to answer the simplest yes or no questions, is quite voluble.
Henry,
Yeah.
do you like the iPod? Do you like the music you're hearing?
Yes.
Tell me about your music.
Well, I don't have one, I mean.
Do you like music?
Yeah, I'm crazy about music. You play beautiful music, beautiful sound. Beautiful.
Did you play music when you were? Did you like music when you were young?
Yes, I went to big dances and things.
What was your favorite music when you were young?
Well, I guess, Cab Calloway was my number one band guy I liked.
What was your favorite Cab Calloway song?
Oh, I'll be home there for Christmas. Oh, you can count and plan on me with plenty of snow.
Okay, so it's beautiful, right? But what do you see in this clip? Apa yang kita lihat dari klip ini? So the clip shows that music may play an important role in emotional arousal and self-regulation by enabling the recall of life experience and music memories associated with them. Jadi kalau kita lihat yang dia ingat dari penyanyi favoritnya, Cab Calloway, itu adalah mungkin berelasi dengan lagu Natal yang dia ingat. Jadi musik dapat merangsang emosi kita dan mengingat musical memory yang terjalin di sana. Jadi musik dan itu biasanya kita punya memori misalnya di saat-saat event-event tertentu. Nah, jadi bagaimana berikutnya adalah bagaimana dengan playing music. So, kita tahu bahwa musik itu pleasing, harmless, also universal. But how about making music, playing music instruments? So, playing music instruments is an intense, multisensory and motor experience. Kalau kita lihat di sini, dalam bermain musik, baik musik klasik maupun musik tradisional, kita bisa melihat bahwa dengan mendengarkan musik ini sudah melibatkan berbagai fungsi, yaitu baik fungsi kognitif, baik motorik, maupun emosional juga. kalau kita dengan belajar musik klasik, as reading the notes, kita juga ada fungsi spasial yang terlibat di sana, maupun dalam apalagi yang kita sebut dengan playing music. Kalau kita bermain alat musik, itu melibatkan lebih banyak lagi fungsi baik dari auditoris, visual, somatosensori maupun motorik. Lalu bagaimana kalau kita bernyanyi? Jadi ini adalah sebuah, this is a study from a choir group in Finland. So it's, the study is for 117 elderly with the mean age of 71. Jadi ini adalah lansia yang tergabung dalam community choir di Finland. Dan setelah mereka bernyanyi dalam kur atau dalam paduan suara, mereka dinilai untuk self-assessment quality of life. Dan mereka merasakan bahwa benefit dari bernyanyi adalah mereka merasa social relationship-nya lebih baik, dan psychologically mereka lebih bahagia, lebih senang, dan juga melaporkan lebih sedikit depresi. Jadi kalau kita lihat di sini, so this is the function of music. So we already seen that music has a cognitive function, physical function, emotional function. But more than that, many researchers also believe that music plays a big role in strengthening social bonds and impacting our ability to connect with one another. Jadi ini salah satu yang saya juga sangat tertarik, yaitu melihat social function dari musik. Jadi bagaimana musik bisa merekatkan social bond atau ikatan sosial di antara kita. Nah, ini melalui yang kita lihat dengan social function. Jadi apakah social function ini? Jadi social function itu bersifat universal. Karena dalam artian bahwa ini dapat dirasakan, fungsi ini dapat dilakukan dengan berbagai latar belakang orang-orang. Tidak tergantung dari culture atau kultur, jadi di masa lalu, di masa sekarang, fungsi sosial dari musik tetap bisa berjalan. Dan ini menjadi masuk akal. So in 2009, researchers from Tübingen University in Germany found a bird bone flute carve from 35 years ago. Kalau kita lihat 35.000 tahun yang lalu, itu masa adalah gathering and then hunting period in human evolution. Jadi apa yang musik, apa kegunaan musik di masa itu? Kalau misalnya kita melihat dari adanya social function dari music, so it makes sense. Because so music used in those days, even until now, to strengthen the social bonds and then try to be like better in communicating for each other. So, and then music making is an activity involving several social functions. Kita bisa melihat di sini, so this is a several mechanism how music can connect to one another. So here the several mechanism how music can strengthen our social bonds. So music can increase. Jadi di sini ada beberapa mekanisme bagaimana musik ini dapat meningkatkan ikatan social bonds di antara kita. Jadi pertama adalah musik dapat meningkatkan kontak. So when individual makes music, they come into contact to one another. So dalam kita kalau misalnya membuat musik, kita melakukan kontak. Being in contact with other individual is a basic human needs. So it's relevant in these days when we are having this social distancing era. Jadi banyak orang-orang atau lansia khususnya mengalami yang namanya social isolation. So it's really increasing there is the major risk of morbidity because having a contact with people is a basic human needs. Dan ini kalau misalnya kita melihat di dalam musik, kenapa kontak ini meningkat, kita bisa, contohnya adalah when we have like one favorite band player or singer, kita tetap akan, we want to watch the concert, even though we have like a very good quality of recordings. Jadi kita tetap ingin untuk nonton konser meskipun misalnya mahal, karena itu kita merasakan ada kontak dengan orang lain. So the second one is music also increase social cognition. So what is social cognition? Social cognition is when playing music in group, individuals engage in social cognition. Dan pada saat kita mendengarkan musik, otak kita secara otomatis itu aktif dalam theory of mind. We can relate it to theory of mind. So we try to understand what others are thinking and feeling. So in this case, when we listen to one music, we try to understand what is the composer think about this song? What is the composer feel about this song? And then we can predict how they might behave. So this is very interesting. And then the next one is kopati. What is kopati? So kopati refers to the social function of empathy. Jadi kalau ini adalah sebuah fenomena di mana emotional states dari masing-masing individu dalam sebuah grup itu secara empathically affected in the sense, jadi kita pada saat kita menerima, we perceive the emotion in the music, and then that emotion evokes feelings in the perceivers, and then can be like homogeneous to other group, for other individuals in the same group. So this is like when inter-individual empathic states become more homogeneous, then decreasing conflict and promoting cohesion of the group. Jadi dengan adanya kesamaan perasaan setelah kita mendengarkan musik, kita menjadi semakin erat. Jadi keterikatan kita dalam sebuah grup menjadi semakin erat. Yang berikutnya adalah communication. So music is one way of communicating belonging. So this is the very nature example. Musical communication is very common between parents and babies, or parents and infants, when we sing lullabies to our children. So it's very, pada saat kita menyanyikan lagu-lagu, kita menimang-nimang anak pada masa dia kecil, itu merupakan bentuk komunikasi. So it's tidaklah mengherankan karena music and language, bagian otak yang bekerja dalam dua hal itu banyak yang overlap. Jadi music juga dapat merupakan sarana komunikasi. Yang berikutnya adalah coordination. So when we play in the band, music making involves coordination of actions. Jadi kalau kita berada dalam suatu grup yang besar untuk bermain musik bersama, we try to synchronize the beat, the tempo. We try to synchronize our tune, and that is increasing pleasure feeling. It's a positive feeling. Jadi pada saat kita berkoordinasi dalam sebuah grup musik untuk menyamakan, misalnya kita menyamakan nada suara kita atau menyamakan gerakan pada saat kita berdansa, menyamakan gerakan pada saat kita mendengarkan musik. Ternyata itu meningkatkan rasa pleasure feelings. Jadi positive feeling. Bahkan pada saat orang ini tidak bertemu secara, tidak berada dalam satu ruangan. Jadi ini nanti akan menjelaskan kenapa pada saat online session, untungnya pada saat ini dengan adanya teknologi, kita tetap berusaha untuk berkoordinasi untuk menyamakan nada kita. We try to coordinate with the music, we try to coordinate with the tune, and then with the beat of the music. And then the next one is cooperation. So a musical performance by a number of players is only possible if also involve cooperation between players. Jadi kerjasama dalam sebuah grup untuk misalnya kita performance ingin menampilkan musik. So as a performers, we have the shared goals, like the same goal. We want to perform the best that we can. So we have the same goal. And then this increased trust to achieve a goal, and then one chances for future cooperation. Jadi pada saat kita bernyanyi bersama atau ingin menampilkan sesuatu bersama, kerjasama antara satu dengan yang lain juga ternyata menimbulkan perasaan perasaan bahagia dan merupakan important potential source of pleasure. So the last one is social cohesion. So as an effect of this function, so music leads to increased social cohesion of a group. Jadi apakah social cohesion itu? Social cohesion atau social bond is a higher, itu adalah ikatan antara individu dalam sebuah grup, dalam sebuah kelompok. Jadi ada satu penelitian, so there was research about social cohesion, which is higher within families and peer groups, when young people listen to music with their family members of peers, respectively. Jadi dalam sebuah penelitian yang menilai adanya bagaimana apakah mendengarkan musik bersama-sama dalam keluarga atau dalam kelompok pada usia muda dapat meningkatkan bonding, social bonding pada orang itu. Dan ternyata, yes, it is. And then it's even more interesting because this effect is true even in cultures where interdependence is less valued. Jadi kalau kita bandingkan in Asian countries to Western countries, or kita ada beda untuk dependensi antara anggota keluarga. Jadi, tapi ternyata musik ini karena penelitiannya di negara-negara yang berbeda, dari Filipina, ada Jerman, ada Kenya, ternyata efek musik untuk meningkatkan social bond ternyata sama, meski apakah despite of background culture-nya. So after we see this, looking at the influence of music into our ability to connect to one another, we may understand the immense power of music and then how to make us feel connected to all of humanity, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Jadi kalau kita sudah mengerti tentang apa yang membuat musik itu bisa meningkatkan ikatan, koneksi di antara orang-orang atau meningkatkan social bonds, jadi kita bisa melihat ada beberapa kegiatan yang sudah dilakukan selama COVID-19 pandemic ini. So music is used to promote public health messages. So this is, I show you one clip. This is very interesting because this is Ugandan, perhaps you already seen this. So this is Bobby Wine, he is an Ugandan politician. So he used music to promote public health messages. So let's watch this.
The bad news is that everyone is a potential victim. But the good news is that everyone is a potential solution. Sensitize the masses to sanitize, keep a social distance and quarantine. Stop! The coronavirus is sweeping over mankind. Everybody must be.
It's, sorry, oops, wait. I will show again, sorry.
But the good news is that everyone is a potential solution. Sensitize the masses to sanitize, keep a social distance and quarantine. Stop! The coronavirus is sweeping over mankind. Everybody must be alert. It's a global pandemic we can never take for granted. You must be alert. It's a matter of life we can never take for granted.
So this is very interesting to see how politicians can use music to share, to promote the public health messages. And then the next one is music is used to appreciate public health workers and also for fundraising. In Indonesia, we have Konser di Rumah Aja by musisi Indonesia in Narasi TV. So this event is trying to collect fund for the lower economic income society to support them during this pandemic. And also Lady Gaga, when Lady Gaga start this, not movement, yeah, One World Together at Home. Luar biasa sekali bagaimana melihat berbagai artis top dunia bisa bergabung untuk bernyanyi bersama, dan itu untuk karena because they have like the same goal and it creates pleasure from that, like we have the same goal here. And then last but not least, this is a very proud thing that we are from Stichting Alzheimer Indonesia, Netherlands. So last couple of I think 2 weeks ago, we held an event named Karaoke and Live Band. So sing along together, intergenerational. So music is used to support the elderly, caregivers, and people with dementia here. So it's very amazing to see so many people from age 14 to 90 involved in these activities. And then we did not know each other, but we can sing. Apparently, the event works very well. And everything here is going online. So I believe when we use music more to bring us together, we can get the benefit of music here to make to increase the empathy, to increase all the good feeling, even though if we can do it online. So this is the last page or bit take-home messages. So musical leisure activities can stimulate a variety of cognitive function. Jadi aktivitas musik dapat meningkatkan semua fungsi-fungsi kognitif, banyak fungsi kognitif, emosional, dan also motorik juga. Musical training might be beneficial to induce brain plasticity. Music making dalam scope social functioning, ini termasuk selain memainkan alat musik juga bernyanyi, juga berdansa, so it may engage various social functions. Dan ini berlangsung naturally dan simultaneously. So the ability of music to improve social bond might play an important role of music in human evolution. Karena berhubungan dengan orang lain, connecting with other people, is the basic human needs. So thank you so much for joining this session. So I want to remind you that in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it is the life in your years that count. So I want to thank Amalia for giving me this chance to sharing this, and then Stichting Alzheimer Indonesia, Netherlands, and then this is the university, the affiliation that I'm working now. So thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tania. Wow, it's really perfect on time.
Yeah.
Karena biasanya saya agak-agak strict ya sama ini rundown, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty strict with my rundown, so it's really perfect. Like really not that minute that she has to stop. Okay, well, it's really interesting. I personally have a point taken on the co-pathy, the connecting, the empathy connections. It's really a new word for me, and I like empathy so much. Aku tuh seneng banget kata-kata empati gitu, karena kayaknya empati tuh lebih dari simpati, lebih dari apapun gitu. Nah sekarang nemuin kata-kata co-pathy yang di situasi ini orang dengan empatinya yang sama itu bisa connect gitu. Kalau nggak sama tuh kayaknya sekarang lebih susah gitu, karena banyak sekali challenge-nya gitu. In this time of period of COVID, like if we have a same empathy of feeling, it's really this time it's filterize our interest, our empathy, because we have a lot of challenge in this time of stay at home period. So if we have the same empathy, then we have the connection, the co-pathy. So it's really interesting for me. And also the Uganda politicians, I've never saw it before. The politisi Uganda yang bikin musik, mungkin ada beberapa yang udah approach ke sana juga ya. Cuman maybe because the music is light and happy music, so you don't feel stressed during this period, because it can be stressful, but it's light and the message is easy to digest. Okay, if we have anybody has questions, you can unmute yourself and then throw the questions and or you can chat in the chat box. Kita mulai tanya jawab kalau ada yang perlu ingin ditanyakan kepada Dr. Tania, dan juga mungkin kita just brainstorming, kita diskusi aja, ngobrol, nggak masalah. We have like 10 minutes, kita punya 10 minutes for discussions. Ya. Kalau yang mau bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia silahkan. I can translate and explain in the chat box for the non-bahasa Indonesia audience later.
Okay, there's one question actually here from Dr. Yunita. So what type of music you recommend for aging or patients with dementia? Jadi apakah ada harus lagu yang disukai atau kita dapat memberikan semua jenis musik atau mungkin ada preferensi khusus? Jadi sebenarnya dalam musik ini ada banyak sekali research. Jadi kalau dulu kita mengetahui tentang efek Mozart terhadap perkembangan otak bayi. Tapi berikutnya, selain Mozart ternyata ada musik-musik jenis musik-musik lain juga yang memberikan efek yang sama. Jadi selain Mozart. Jadi kalau misalnya dari yang tadi saya kasih contoh adalah tentang so it's personalized music. Dan itu make sense karena menurut saya, karena if we give like personalized music to people, so it will evoke their emotional even more. Jadi kalau ada orang yang tidak pernah misalnya tidak suka dengan musik klasik, dan pada saat dia sudah dengan demensia kita kasih musik klasik, mungkin efeknya tidak akan seperti kalau kita memberikan dengar atau musik-musik yang ada hubungannya dengan misal pada saat beliau semasa masih muda. Jadi kalau kita melihat apa yang musik bisa efek musik apa, jadi it's very personalized. I like the idea of like personalized music for people. Because karena kita punya preference musik yang berbeda-beda. Mungkin ada satu yang sukanya dangdut, ada satu yang sukanya klasik, dan ada yang sukanya rock. Jadi ada yang sukanya mendengarkan instrumentalia. Jadi kita tidak bisa, saya tidak bisa sebenarnya, oke, musik ini yang paling bagus. Karena sebenarnya kita music is part of like its culture also. Like it's really personalized. Like we have like our own preference. Begitu. Okay.
It's really interesting here. Mark has an idea. A friend of Mark is making a playlist for the husband who's, with dementia in Spotify with his favorite music. Yes, Mark. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, it's also this is from
sendiri gitu ya kalau misalnya ini ya.
Yeah, so it's like also, this is like the example, beautiful example from Liana. So my mom is more attentive and happy to listen to Bataknis song since our background from Bataknis tribe. Of course, like if you brought up with music, kalau kita dibesarkan dalam kita aktif dengan mendengarkan banyak musik, tentu pada saat kita tua atau misal kita nanti dengan kita dengan demensia, kita ada demensia, memori-memori awal itu yang kita bisa gali. Itu yang masih terus bertahan pada saat kita menua nanti. So, okay. So when he was upset, he was always put on the music and then he calmed down. So it's really interesting how music can calm people. Yeah.
Jadi personalized banget ya itu musiknya. Sampai ini aku juga nggak kepikiran nih Bataknis tribe music. It's like we are Indonesians and then we are okay, just listen to Indonesian song. But actually Indonesia, it's tribe. That's a lot of tribe in Indonesia. Yeah. So it's more really specific gitu. Jadi spesifik banget gitu musiknya ya.
Jadi mungkin the approach for caregivers, I think it's nice to have like if the caregiver is not the member of the family. Jadi kalau caregivernya bukan anggota keluarga yang mungkin nggak tahu. Jadi itu ada bagus juga untuk menggali lebih dalam. Apa lagu yang dulu disukai? Misalnya siapa penyanyi favoritnya? Jadi mulai dari sana dulu. Jadi kita nggak bisa randomly, we cannot give them like randomly like okay, this is like classical music is the best, so it won't work for everyone, I think.
Oh, this is really interesting from Jacqueline from Brunei. Hello Brunei, there is 2 colleagues from Brunei here, yay! there are many genre in music. The shopping mall where we have our dementia-friendly corner, a range of pianists. Yeah, play classical and oldies in the evening. So every weekends and public holidays. Jadi di mallnya selalu ada pianis dan classical music buat oldies. Karena there's a lot of elderlies going to the mall in Asia ya, banyak ke mall ya. Mall is like the hangout.
Second home.
Ya. Mall itu pada gaulnya gitu ya. So that's interesting. And on Sunday, I mean the yoga and poco-poco from Aldi. Yeah, poco-poco. But now the challenge is sekarang challenge-nya gimana moving that to online, right? For the time being, for this stay-at-home period. So mix the like the Spotify is one of the solutions, or like this we sing along together through platform gitu. Jadi ya sekarang tantangannya how do we manage kita connect antara musik dan online untuk periode ini ya gitu.
Pada saat ini juga saya rasa ini juga masa kita cukup beruntung dengan adanya teknologi, dengan adanya video call, dengan adanya Zoom, dengan adanya Skype, atau ya platform-platform lain, karena kita tetap bisa melakukan kontak meskipun kita tidak dalam satu rumah. Kita tetap bisa melakukan, kita tetap berhubungan. We still can get connected. Jadi mungkin kalau misalnya ada dalam masa seperti sekarang, misalnya kita hidup terpisah dengan orang tua, mungkin bisa dicoba juga untuk melakukan yaitu sesi sing along bareng melalui platform. Ya, jadi kalau dalam grup WhatsApp kan tulisan. Jadi kalau ini kita video call bareng tapi nyanyi bareng gitu. Jadi so it's really interesting to see this. And then I think music is a universal language. So and then it's harmless, it's pleasurable, and then it's kind of free.
Ini ada pertanyaan Dr. Tania, ada dari Dr. Yunita, adakah waktu yang disarankan berapa lama atau kapan untuk melakukan terapi musik? Karena kalau saya pribadi biasanya hanya tahan dengar musik kurang dari 30 menit meskipun itu lagu-lagu favorit. So is there preferences, how long you can listening to the music? Because sometimes it's just 30 minutes, even though it's our favorite song is bored already. So do you have any preferences?
So this is a very interesting question. And then this is also like, I elaborate these questions in my research. Because in previous research, we know that the music experience across the life. So if we already have like 10 years of musical training, we can still have the benefit even like years later. Jadi, ini pertanyaannya menarik, berapa sih cukup waktunya misalnya kita bermain musik yang untuk terapi. Nah ini saya coba elaborate karena dalam berbagai previous research dalam penelitian-penelitian sebelumnya itu sangat bervariasi. Ada yang seminggu sekali, ada yang seminggu 2 kali, ada yang terus-terusan. Nah ini saya coba untuk menjawab pertanyaan ini. Sebenarnya ini juga saya penasaran juga dengan pertanyaan ini. Cuman kalau misalnya saya bisa sharing dari penelitian-penelitian yang sebelumnya, jadi ada cukup untuk asal dilakukan secara kontinu selama ada satu penelitian selama 10 tahun secara kontinu. Nah itu sudah bisa memberikan efek pada masa lansia, pada masa tuanya. Tapi tentu kalau misalnya kita bicara tentang musik, if we talk about music, it's very, we have like so many confounders. Like we can sing, like playing music is not only like we are playing instruments. We can sing in the bathroom. We can like humming if we watch television. So it's like, it's also involving. So jadi kita harus berhati-hati untuk ukuran seberapa sering sih gitu harus. Kalau menurut saya mungkin untuk durasi itu beda-beda ya. Kalau misalnya di antara orang-orang, apalagi kalau misalnya kita 30 menit itu sudah lelah. Apalagi kalau misalnya orang yang misalnya dengan demensi atau misalnya bosan, belum tentu. Mungkin ada yang juga bertahan untuk berjam-jam mendengarkan musik yang dia suka, atau ada juga yang bosenan gitu. Jadi yang penting kalau menurut saya adalah terus secara kontinu dilakukan dan secara rutin. Jadi misalnya seminggu sekali, mau seminggu 2 kali, tetap ada sesi musik dalam jangka waktu yang sama dan itu dilakukan terus-menerus. I think it's more interesting to see how like the continuity of like music intervention can give the benefit for
Ini
for the brain.
we have also Liana, and I see Liana and Kaleli from Alzheimer Jakarta. Hello, and both of them is caregivers, yeah. Maybe Liana, you tell that ada Mama for Bataknis Tribe music, terus udah gitu diputarkan setiap hari, setiap pagi gitu ya. Itu kenapa gitu? Waktu Liana memutarkan lagu Batak dan kenapa pagi gitu, mungkin ada preferences nggak kenapa? Why Liana play that in the morning and that Batak?
So hi, my name is Liana. I'm also from Alzi, Jakarta, Indonesia, but I'm also as a caregiver. So why I choose in the morning, because like after lunchtime, my mom tends to be very sleepy. So I choose in the morning because like she's still like a bit active and then can like very attentive. That's why I choose in the morning rather than after the lunchtime, because after lunchtime usually like at 3 or 4 p.m. like now she's now already in the bed and then sleep. That's why I choose in the morning. So like after taking a bath and then after she had her breakfast and then like while in the wheelchair and then we'll like put on the music and then she will be like seems like she's enjoying the song.
Oke, jadi pagi masih segar gitu ya?
Masih segar, ya.
Yeah. Terima kasih, thank you Liana. Ini Mark said in Switzerland they have a CD for the elderly. Itu jadi terinspirasi juga ya. Kita bisa bikin CD compilation, ya, Alzi atau siapapun gitu ya, bikin CD compilations gitu ya, nostalgic song or ini gitu bisa kita beri kita putar gitu ya, kalau mereka memang belum into Spotify gitu misalnya kan, gitu. Jadi kayaknya memang banyak hal gitu yang mesti di-connect gitu dan waktunya gitu. Ini kayaknya kalau menciptakan lagu kayaknya mungkin itu relatif ya, kapan bisa dilakukannya. Terus Ai, ada ini nggak dari Mamah dulu kalau musik? You are my sunshine. Itu pokoknya. Kira-kira ada ini.
From Alzi, Indonesia, Jakarta. Yeah, she likes the song "You Are My Sunshine," and whenever we play the song, she always moves her either arms and heads, and try to sing along, even though maybe the words came out a little bit different than it should be. Yeah, music does make her happy. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, so if people still have questions, and actually we are pretty busy in the chat box, jadi bisa lihat di chat box, ini diskusinya seru banget gitu. Mungkin di situ juga sambil dengerin, jadi kita bisa diskusi. It's really interesting. Tapi sepertinya waktu yang akan memisahkan. Oh, satu lagi nih dari Henny. Itu is music also works for people for dementia people didn't like listen to music. Okay, jadi kalau if people with dementia, before they get dementia, they don't really like music, are they still into music when they got dementia or not? I don't know.
I agree with Mark's comment here that for music, of course, we cannot, like I said before, that we cannot push people to like something that they didn't like before. So I agree, because other than music, we have something else, because perhaps we can say that how come like not everyone likes music? There is So, and then we also know that there are people with amusia, so they cannot like perceive the beauty and the pleasure of music. So we cannot use music for to help them. So it is indeed that yeah, we can start looking for other things like arts or gardening or other cognitive activities that might be beneficial for them. So we don't have to like push them, even like if we know like, okay, they don't like music or they didn't like music in the younger age, so don't push them.
Yeah. Well, I think akhirnya waktu yang memisahkan kita sepertinya kurang lama ya, ternyata sesi 1 jam itu mestinya 1,5 jam. So I think unfortunately we have to come to the end. I see people, is it from Japan coming in or from Taiwan? But we are almost done. So I will share, if you're interested, then I will share the recorded sessions later. Thank you very much for being in this sessions. Terima kasih banyak karena menarik sekali. Sebetulnya mungkin we know already that is in our feeling, kita udah tahu gitu ya. Cuman kalau kita sharing kayak gini, if we share each other and then kita dengar dari people with dementia atau caregiver, kita tahu bahwa oh yang kita lakukan itu udah benar, we are on the right track, atau mungkin bisa kita lebih perbaiki gitu, bisa lebih baik gitu ya di situasi ini. Dan let's move to online for a time being. Kalau di Belanda, people is also playing music outside the elderly home. Jadi mereka tuh main musik dari jauh karena we have to take distance 1.5 meter. So people are playing music outside the elderly home and waving. But so physical distancing and online, I think now it's the tools that we create or sharing the music for this period, and we have to be open-minded to do it through that tools. Okay. Last but not least, I will want to make one last group photo sessions because some people are new coming in and then some people out already actually because they have something, they have meeting. So
I want to greet my professor here. Wow. So hi, Professor Wimpy. So he's Professor Wimpy Pangkahila is from University of Udayana in Bali.
Oh, halo Prof. Kabar, senang sekali.
Kok menghilang ini fotonya?
Prof, okay. Can I ask everybody to turn on the video so we can have a group pictures before we say goodbye? Okay. Yes. Wow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more.
Okay, one more.
Okay. I'm turning the other side now. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Okay. Thank you,
Dr. Tania.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
Terima kasih banyak.
Other sessions also. After this, we have yoga. So for caregivers, for relaxing, not for all caregivers, for everybody who wants relaxing during this period, and also fasting. It's relax yoga, so it's okay for the one who's fasting. Jadi buat yang puasa, yoganya bakalan okay, santai, apalagi deket-deket jam buka. Terima kasih banyak yang dari seluruh dunia manapun. Thank you very much for being here. So see you in the next sessions. Keep in touch. Stay healthy, mentally, physically, and be happy. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye. Bye.